say a lot of stuff to entertain you guys. I don't necessarily always mean every single thing I say, but I do think the stock is overvalued, and to be honest about that. But I did see, I will give you a little credit where the credit's due. You always have to do that no matter what. The company has gotten a lot more efficient. I was trying to look at revenue per store and revenue per employee. And on those types of efficiency metrics, the company's gotten much more efficient. I still think that no matter what, you sort of have this, you're brushing up against this problem of being in kind of this lousy business. It doesn't mean that they can't make it work, but why bother paying for that when you can pay for something a little more dynamic and exciting? And I like boring stocks, but this isn't a boring stock at a good price. It's kind of like, I struggle to see how they can make it worth 10 billion, with process improvement, organizational improvement, efficiency improvements, things like that, just on its own, let alone kind of exceeding that such that you'd be this excited about a stock, right? I mean, if you are that excited about a stock, and sometimes I've gotten excited about stocks in my career, you think it might be worth 20 billion or 30 billion, right? Because if it's at 10 billion now, you wouldn't sit there and say, oh, I'm thrilled it's worth 10 billion. You would sell it and find another stock. So you must think it's worth 20 or 30 or 40 billion. Well, I see 2 billion on the balance sheet. That's it. I don't see the retail business as being worth a lot. It's kind of hard to fathom that. And in this world, we do not give credit for things that haven't been done yet. We might give a little bit of credit, but when I put $1 million in Founders Fund, they don't tell me, Martin, it's worth 10 million. They go and invest, they try hard, they work, and then they send me an update every year and they say, well, I think our portfolio is worth 1.5 million now. And I say, great. And they say it might be worth 2, or it might be worth 3 if I'm really lucky. And that's how investing works. You don't automatically say, well, I just gave you the $1 million and I think you're a good investor, Peter Thiel, who is maybe one of the best ever. So automatically, and he says, well, thank you very much. I am a great investor. I think the $1 million you just gave me is worth 5. It doesn't work that way. We don't revalue investments just because the person's a good investor. In this case, Ryan Cohen is probably a very good manager. And we love to invest with good managers, right? That's the whole point of capitalism. And one of the things I will say, and again, I'm giving the credit where the credit's due, and I'm going to say some things I normally don't say because I'm an esteemed guest. One of the problems with value investors, and I have another esteemed guest here, Mike Howe. And I see Pulte just left. one of the things value investors don't talk about that's not that we tend to forget is that when you forecast or try to value a company, the company isn't sort of this monolithic thing that isn't living, moving, breathing organism. It is. It's changing every day, and the changes typically come from management. Management has to do.
So Martin, what you're saying?
You don't interrupt me. You don't do that ever again. Ever. I'm on a nice little roll here. And he screwed up my juju. So anyway, management is very important, and it's hard for a value investor to kick the tires, scrutinize everything he can or she can, and determine the value of the company in a vacuum. Because if you did that with Tesla or Nvidia or any other great company, Microsoft or others, you'd have a really hard time as a value investor, a deep value investor, because you don't know what management's going to bring to the table. You don't know what rabbit they're going to pull out of the hat. You don't know what investments they're going to make that could potentially change the business, right? How do you forecast those things? You can't. Now, I've developed some ways to try. But it's pretty hard to sort of determine where and when management, what they're going to be doing so that you can navigate accordingly. Now, on the flip side, we can see what GameStop's doing. Nothing. Nothing. What are they doing? They created an NFT marketplace. Wow, what foresight. What genius. This is the guy, right? Ryan Cohen, he's the guy. He's the guy we're all excited about, right? He's the guy that's going to save your ass because you bought a stock. There's $2 billion in cash. It's trading for $10 billion. You're long, so you think it's worth 20 or 30 billion. Some of you idiots think it's worth 100 billion. Okay. Well, what do they have that's worth any of that? An NFT marketplace? Guess what? OpenSea is basically worth zero. Okay? Nothing. And, I mean, you guys gave up on the NFT marketplace. So I give a little credit for that, too. Might as well cut and run and realize how dumb this was. Shut it down. Never speak of it again. Sure. But what's next? What's next for GameStop? How are we going to bridge the gap between 2 billion and 10 billion? This moron right here on my YouTube says it's called mergers and acquisition. Ever heard? Yes, as a matter of fact, I have 25 years of buying companies in pharmaceuticals. And again, nobody gives you credit for something you haven't done yet. You actually have to do the merger. And people actually have to get excited about it because most of the time, if you have a big pile of capital, guess what? Everyone else has got a big pile of capital and everyone else is trying to multiply their money with more money. You're looking for the same bargains. Everyone's showing up to the same auction. I'm in the process of buying a company. Yeah, I've heard of mergers and acquisitions. I'm in the process of putting down 9 figures to buy a company. And guess what? There's a bunch of other people looking to buy it too because they sense the same bargain that I do. And guess what happens because of that? The price gets more fair. I thought I was getting a bargain. This other guy, smart guy, shows up. He's willing to pay more than me. Crap. Now it's not such a bargain. I might have to not do this deal. That's how M&A works. You're not going to turn 2 billion into 10 billion risklessly. You may be able to do it. People have done it. People have done better than that. But based on what we know about Ryan Cohen, the last time he tried to make some money, he tried an NFT marketplace. And I see a bunch of disclosures in the 10Q and 10K about writing down loss from digital assets, write-offs, etc. Not the stuff legends are made of. You know, I hope you find those M&A targets because guess what? You can call Jefferies, you can call Barclays, you can call Deutsche Bank. That's what an investment banker's job is. You call them up, 1-800-JEFFERIES. They'll find a way to spend that $2 billion real quick. They'll get a 5% fee. So, Mr. Cohen, I got the perfect company for you. Here it is. And they're getting pitched every day, every minute from VCs, private equity, you name it. And one day he's going to put that $2 billion to work. But maybe he'll fuck it up like he fucked up the NFT thing. Or maybe he's the brilliant M&A guy who's going to find that company that's worth $10 billion for $2 billion. Now let's say he does that. What do you have now? Well, the $2 billion cash is gone. And he found the $10 billion company, so he made a hero's trade. And guess what you're left with? A $10 billion company, which is what the price is right now. That's what you're hoping he breaks even with a genius trade. Oh, no. You're hoping he turns $2 billion to $20 billion. Well, that's even easier than 2 to 10. Come on. I wasn't born yesterday. Neither were you. Stop being stupid. Who wants to ask a question? This is ticking me off. You just talk. You don't have to raise your hand. I'm not being polite. You don't gotta be polite. Just talk one.
You finally turned out the fucking block shit. You had to get your rant out. I appreciate that. You know, you got to get that shit out of your chest, out of your head, all that. I appreciate that, man. I got to do that once in a while too.
Okay, what's your question?
Question? Oh, I don't know if I had a question. Just raising your hand. I mean, that's what I did. But
listen, guy, I'm already a little pissed off. Now you're pissing me off even more. So, what do you want to say?
Don't kick me out. Come on, man.
What do you want to say? Go ahead.
Didn't I necessarily have to be a question.
Well, speak your mind, buddy. Speak your mind. You got the floor. Don't stop filibustering.
Whatever. Dude, I ain't that smart.
Yeah, I can tell. I can fucking tell. What do you want to talk about?
I was gonna say, like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure we're sitting at home, and Ryan Cohen is probably ripped as fuck. So
Good for
I
him.
don't know. Yeah, cool to talk shit. I don't know him. He ain't my buddy.
Listen, I've been an investor a long time. Some managers are good. Some managers are bad. Some were good. Then they become lazy. We don't know what he is right now. We're gonna see.
We don't know.
He's gonna put up or shut up. And so far, he put up an NFT marketplace. He thought that was genius.
Well, I don't know if there's facts on that.
Well, facts. That's what he did. Do you remember? That was supposed to be. I remember when I was talking.
Okay.
When I was talking shit. Hold on. I remember when I was talking shit about GameStop 2 years ago. I said GameStop and AMC are overvalued. AMC went down 95%, and people said, "No, you don't understand. Movies are coming back, Martin. No, you don't understand. We have a gold mine or a silver mine or some bullshit, and we're gonna sell popcorn." I said, "Okay." I added that all up, and I said it's still worth nothing. And GameStop, people said, now GameStop again. GameStop, AMC makes GameStop look like Nvidia. It really does. It is that AMC was that bad. But for GameStop, people said, Martin, you don't understand. We're getting into NFTs. It's gonna be a big deal. Digital collectibles. I know that space. It's very crowded. Anybody who's taken 6 months of JavaScript. Anybody who's taken 6 months of JavaScript can make an NFT marketplace. Bruno can do it. Brunito over here. Forget Saad. You don't even want to know what Saad could do. Saad could do that in his sleep. NFT marketplace, quick JavaScript, add a little Mongo database, make it Express server if you want, and it's over. 3 weeks, tops. And it failed. Everyone bought a loop ring name. Do you remember this? Does this not ring a bell to you? Anyway, Josh, what's up, man?
Hey, yeah, about we're soliciting questions and stuff, and I don't know, I'm just theorizing that, and we just see this dynamic activity of elevator wealth and poverty with this GameStop action going up and down like nothing else, and has no basis in reality. But if
Correct.
Have some changes, perhaps, like if GameStop would adopt some things, like maybe being like those live service arcades, maybe being like a VR arcade, maybe restoring like a rental like Blockbuster back in the day.
Everyone has an idea, right? But there's one guy in charge, and he's got to decide what to do. And so far, he's closed some stores, but the company still loses money. They gave us the Q1 update. Guess what the update is? We're still losing money. We're a much smaller company now. Somehow that's supposed to be a good thing.
I think the best part of that would be just for the price to compress down to a point where someone that would come in and adopt those changing policies would buy it up and then make those changes happen, perhaps.
Well, I think that they have a CEO everyone loves, right?
He's not getting after it.
He's not doing the. I agree with you. He's not doing the job. Where's the growth? Where's the success? Where's the M&A you're talking about?
I think the shareholders a bit more power into injection, like the shareholding votes and stuff like that, or maybe if we wait for the price to go down enough, where someone else that might want to take their hand at it might get some support.
You're speaking some blasphemy right now. Most people really like Ryan Cohen.
I wish you would be more adaptive to the changing economy.
Now I hope everyone listens to that right now, because you know what that is? That's called a frustrated ape. And you all soon will be frustrated too. Give it another year. You think in 2026, when GameStop's $11, you're going to be diamond-handed? You're going to be crowing right now? No, you're not. You're going to be pissed. You're going to say, I hate this Ryan Cohen. We need a new CEO. A new CEO will fix us. And then you'll start this process over and over again. What's up, Chris?
Hey, yeah, so I agree with you that the stock is, like, the company is super overvalued for where it's at and where it looks like it's going. But I wonder, like, if that's the case and if you're right, which I think you are, why not just do a massive short sale?
Yes, exactly. I agree.
Yeah, well, other side of it though is like if this cycle continues for a while, they could continue to sell more shares, raise more money, and then if they got really good at M&A, then potentially actually get into that value at some point.
It's a whole lot of ifs. I got to tell you, if I go to the park and I do 1,000 push-ups every day and run 6 miles a day, I might be really jacked, and then I might get a supermodel girlfriend, and then, you know, I might hang out with Elon Musk and go on his spaceship. But unfortunately, all of those ifs aren't going to come true. You're a sophisticated guy. You know how it is.
Are you betting? Are you betting on it though, like on the short?
Yes.
That's kind of what I think is. I think that you can actually swing it in both directions for a while, because I think it'll be like 3 or 4 more of these cycles before the writing's on the wall.
I mean, it's.
The music stops.
I think the music stops when there's a downturn, an economic downturn, and stocks like GameStop will trade at cash value, like $6.
Right. Yep.
And good stocks, good companies, you'll get a great bargain for them. Like you might be able to get Nvidia at $1 trillion. You might be able to get Apple at half its price now, or a quarter, or you know, something like that, 2/3 of its price.
So you're talking about all the music.
I'm talking about what naturally happens. You know, we haven't had a nice downturn since 2008, and I'm not saying I'm bearish or anything. I'm just saying, because I don't know, who knows. But I'm just saying that, you know, we're a little overdue for a little bit of a bear run. And when a bear run happens, which I think is inevitable, the shittiest, crappiest stocks with the worst business models, like, I don't know, trying to sell physical games in a 2024, those are the kinds of stocks that will get hurt the most. The apes will be extinct. I'm going to be celebrating in Dusseldorf with my Deutsche Bank bankers who put on a glorious total return swap for Shkreli. There'll also be some Nomura guys there. We'll be high-fiving. Maybe some other bankers, BNP Paribas, Barclays, all my Euro bankers who love to just give Shkreli credit. Shkreli, you want to short 5 million shares of GameStop? You don't have any cash, the collateral? No problem.
Right, that's all you need is collateral, and it's a sure thing in the long run. That's basically it.
Martin, I have to head out pretty quick here.
Yes, what do you want?
Oh, hey, no, I was going to let you know I got to head out pretty quick.
I don't know you. I don't give a fuck whether you've been head out or not. What's your problem? What do you want?
Oh, no, it wasn't a problem or anything like that.
It is a problem, you fucking fuckface. Now talk.
Wow, Jesus H, man. Wow, didn't know you hated me so much.
I don't know you. You don't say anything.
Martin, all I was gonna say, you know, so you got a pretty big crowd in here, you know, I don't know, shit, but anyway, tell him.
You're done, man. You're done. You're done. Don't ever come back here again. You're done.
Martin, what do you think that economic indicator you mentioned before, what do you think that's going to be?
I don't know.
Unemployment? It already started a little bit today.
I was gonna say it all kind of comes together, and you know, there's smarter macro guys. I suggest you follow someone like Michael Cow or others. But look, there always is some kind of downturn. We're not going to go 3 decades without a downturn, right? Like, it's going to happen. Is it going to happen this year or next year? I don't know. But eventually, there'll be an economic downturn. Stocks will drop. GameStop will drop a lot. Because you're going to look at your Robinhood account. You're going to look at your mortgage payment or your rent. And you're going to say, gee, I can't pay my rent with GameStop stock. I got to pay it with cash. So I'm going to sell this GameStop stock because it's a big asset for me, because I'm all in like an idiot. And I got to pay for that operation. Or one of my girlfriends hit me up last night and needed money for rent. I said, of course, babe. I sent her cash. I didn't send her GameStop stock because they don't take GameStop stock where she lives. She probably bought some of this fucking stuff. That's why she needs money for rent. This bitch. Anyway.
I'm gonna be up front here. I'm gonna be up front, and I want your tomorrow morning. What's the play on GameStop? What are we doing tomorrow morning?
I don't play for tomorrow morning. What I play for is private jets to Dusseldorf and Berlin, signing the swap with Klaus, signing the swap with the American bankers, I won't name their names, B and G, who've taken care of me for a long time, who look at the German banker and say, this is our most sophisticated American client. And they know they're lying. And they say, this man deserves the bank's resources. Now, they don't care. Why? Because they get paid a bonus for the swap. They get a little taste, right? So if the German headquarters lets me trade $1 billion, they might get a $10 million bonus, maybe even a piece. So I take the swap, and they say, you know, you're going to maintain a diversified portfolio with this and all that. And I said, yeah, of course. Then I go all in short GameStop. And they can't do shit about it because they already committed to it. The bankers got the bonus. The only guy fucked here is Klaus if the trade goes wrong, which it won't. And Klaus doesn't care because he's backstopped by the German government, which can't let Deutsche Bank fail. Deutsche Bank has a $1 trillion balance sheet. What do you think's on that $1 trillion balance sheet? All kinds of shitty trades like this one. I mean, other shitty trades, not mine. Mine's good.
I was going to say all roads lead back to Deutsche Bank.
Good old DB. Dumb bank.
So, question for you. I don't know if I've heard this brought up yet. I haven't been listening for super long. I sat in for a little bit yesterday while I was writing some code. I don't invest. I run an AI startup, so I don't have time. I was just listening yesterday while I was writing some code. But one thing I haven't heard brought up is, like, you know, personally for me, if I could think of a business that was worse to get into than selling games in a physical store, it would be selling consumer hardware. You can go listen. There's like 1,000 YC videos out there.
Are there?
About the pitfalls of getting into a hardware business or a hardware startup.
Really?
The upfront capex expenses, the competition, the supply chain issues with China.
Well, hold on. Let me take a step back there. It's interesting what you're saying there, because I'm trying to dissect that. So, obviously, getting into hardware to make something that competes with NVIDIA is probably risky and scary.
Are you talking about like going for something like that? No. I'm talking about GameStop's pivot into selling controllers.
Sure.
I heard someone talking yesterday about how this is going to be the savior.
Branded controllers, branded.
I didn't hear anyone bring up like just how crappy of a business like selling consumer hardware actually is and how fraught it is. And I'm sure GameStop is not doing this as their core competency, right? They're probably contracting this out.
It's another.
That comes further peril. And I feel that just underscores the illegitimacy of this pivot.
It's a good question. Let me give you my 2 cents. So they obviously have some kind of channel, right? They have a channel where they have some kind of volume, right? They have $5 billion in revenue. So they're doing some kind of business there. I actually don't think it's that stupid, because for example, a pharmacy. Pharmacy loves to sell these in-house generics, right? The branded generics, which are their white label in-store generic equivalent. So when you go there, there's like Walmart's Claritin or CVS's Claritin. And they actually get a good margin on that, because retail margin could be as little as 10%, 20%, but the margin on those kinds of things can be a lot higher. Now, I don't disagree that selling branded, like, I don't know, like USB, like all these peripherals, like, you know, printer cords or like, I don't know, shit like that is pretty low-end electronics that anybody can do, and Amazon's going to do better. And like, I don't see that being some kind of like pathway to success. But, you know, while you have that distribution channel, why not sell a little higher margin stuff, do the contracting? You know, you can maybe get away with a 50% margin on some of that stuff and, you know, get it to work. But to me, it's almost like there's a reason Radio Shack went bankrupt, right? It's kind of hard to get this to work, but you know, I don't know. Maybe it's not the worst thing ever. We'll see what happens. If it works, we're gonna see higher gross margin. We're gonna see profits. We haven't seen any of that yet. So, does that make sense to you? I mean, I think you're right. Like,
it makes sense, but just not the business that I personally would want to be in.
no, it's about as bad as it gets. I mean, he tried something really innovative. He tried NFTs, swung and missed. Now he's kind of going the other direction, a little bipolar, saying let's just make a nice bricks and mortar retail company and really get it operating great. Why don't we just get this $5 billion in revenue to be profitable? Easier said than done. Everyone's trying to do the same thing. You know, they're one of the few retailers that sells games and electronics. They're one of the few guys standing. Everyone else went bankrupt. So I don't know. To me, this is wishful thinking, and this is going to be a painful lesson. I love giving out painful lessons to people. You know, and you're gonna probably quit the stock market. You're probably not going to say, you know what, Shkreli, you're right. Teach me more. You're going to say, I'm done with stocks. It's a rigged game. I hate stocks. I quit. And you're going to quit stocks for a long time. Maybe you'll try to buy real estate or something. And then you'll come back to stocks 10 years from now when some other GameStop type bullshit happens. I read you guys like a book. Anybody else want to talk Cobra?